And welcome back, everybody, to the YSN Power Hour on this Wednesday. I hope you're having a great day. Sun is shining, about 70 degrees or so, according to Storm Tracker 21. You can download that app for free right now in your Google Play Store or on your iPhone. No problems and no questions asked. The next guests I'm going to bring in, very, very excited to talk to because these guys have a lot of passion for not only kids in general, but the kids in the inner city. And they are doing everything they can, along with some others, to make sure that these kids have a fighting chance and have opportunities to keep on going and to have opportunities upon opportunities upon opportunities, bringing people in, having events. This last event that they brought in caught my attention because they brought over 250 of our youth into a football camp just to introduce each other, familiar faces for down the road. And of course, being able to get to love and know the game of football. At this time, I bring in people I really respect, Pastor Kenneth Donaldson and Nick Safara, longtime friend of the program. Gentlemen, how are you?
It's a good day. It's a great day. Doing well.
Doing good, DJ. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Pastor, we'll start with you. I know you were a big part of this event that brought in over 250 of our youth. How did that start? Where was the precipice of it, and why was it so important to have it, in Youngstown and to be able to give back to our youth?
Well, this is really the brainchild of Randy Triplett, and it was important to bring our youth in this summer and just to get them all together. And really what we're trying to do and what Randy wants to do is just change the narrative of athletics and our youth as a whole. And so that we're trying to do that with our board and our district. We're just trying to change that negative narrative that is put out about our kids and our district. And so, we have great leadership, and Randy Triplett has done a fantastic job reaching out to kids. They respect him. He's got a great following. So this was really Randy Triplett's deal.
So, from what I read, this was kids from 1st to 8th grade, correct, that you brought in to have this. It seems like Randy did an excellent job with this. Why is it so important during that age group between, 1st grade, 8th grade, and maybe a little bit under, a little bit over, to bring these kids in to help them kind of form them and form their opinions of the game of football and sports in general and leadership?
Right. Well, those are the formative years. I played football, Little League football, from about 6 years old all the way up through college. I played at Middle Tennessee State. So I do understand the impact of athletics and discipline and decision-making, teamwork. So all of those things are real important for our youth at that age. And we're really trying to build young men. We have cheerleaders and such also, but we're really trying to build young people to be, team workers and a part of their community, and just giving them some skills that they may not get otherwise.
I know you guys have been really on the front lines from a standpoint of making sure you mentioned the negative connotations and I think that platforms like this will give you an opportunity to make sure that people know what exactly is going on in those rooms, both in the light and necessarily in the dark. People don't realize necessarily the things that you go through, or these young men and women go through in those formative years. What would you say you'd want people to know more than anything about why it's so important to lead, with them, be in the foxhole, in the trenches with them in these years that they can basically create the rest of their lives?
Yeah, I think when we put people, like I said, I was born and raised here in Youngstown, Ohio, and played Little League football and had some of the same challenges that they do. And so when they see people that look like them, that came from where they came from, they're doing things, are pretty successful in life, then they kind of believe that they can do the same thing. And so That's why we're trying to continue to put people in front of them. You know, I'm also the chaplain over at YSU for the football team. We'll have, you know, Jaleel came and spoke to our kids, and just putting just normal people in front of these kids, and letting them see themselves through the eyes of other people. And, you know, at the same time, we're building character, we're building teamwork, we're helping them deal with conflict, respect, integrity, perseverance, all those, you know, all those characteristics that'll be helpful in helping them be productive citizens and fathers and leaders in our community.
I think it's incredible because, being a foster parent myself, I understand firsthand how things go and how things can get twisted very, very quickly. And especially with young men in our
Right.
society. So w- if you're sitting there looking at how has sports been able to be a channel or a vessel for good in our inner cities?
Yeah, you know, it's, you know, I'll yeah, I'll hear comments like, "Man, they're spending so much money on sports and this and that," but they don't realize that for a lot of our inner city kids, their athletic ability is their way out. It's the platform to something new. You know, I have uh, a little bit of education, and it was because of football. You know, when I finished college, I was able to work at the university that I played at because of football. I was able to get a master's degree because of football. Um, I had a discipline and work ethic because of football, and so I was an all-around athlete. I had no desire to go to college. I just wanted to continue playing, and so, you know, our kids, many of them, the athletic ability that they have is is uh, is their way out. It's their way to getting into college and to thinking about life outside of Youngstown, Ohio, and even coming back to Youngstown, Ohio, contributing. So uh, that's a platform. Athletics is a platform for a whole lot. In fact, I'm somewhat biased, but I think athletes are much more marketable than just regular students at the college level, because you learn how to deal with adversity. You learn how to manage your time. You learn how to persevere. You get knocked down. You get hurt. I mean, there's just so many things. Football for me was life, and that's why I try to invest in those who invest in sports, because as you can see, our youth. This is not just inner city, but our youth are just not very disciplined. We're seeing a lot of stuff happening with our young people now across the country, and it's because of a lack of leadership, and it's because of a lack of discipline. And I think sports is the one of the main ways that we can give those kids what they're lacking. They may be lacking it from home, single parent homes. There's so many things that we can give them as coaches. Um, you know, I value my coaches to this day because I realized that they were investing, they were putting something in me that would outlast my years playing football.
That's incredible. That what a testimony there, Nick. I'm going to point this one at you. From a standpoint, I mean, I know that this isn't just a Cheney thing. This isn't just an East thing. This is a Youngstown City School District thing for the youth. Why is it so important to you? I mean, I know that we've seen, Cheney goes on and gets all this stuff from like the Cleveland Browns, and now I saw that you guys had Browns representatives at this latest event. Why is it so important to bring some of these people in from these professional sports franchises and point to them and say, hey, listen, you can do this too. On a scale of 1 to 10, from your perspective, how critical is that to show people what they can do and our youth what they can achieve if they just put their mind to it?
Yeah, no, I mean it's been great. It's been great from the high school down to the middle schools down to the youth. I mean, what Randy's done and what Ronnie Casey, we don't want to discredit, like you said, Cheney and Ronnie Casey either. What they're doing at the youth level is allowing our middle schools to flourish. Our numbers are improving at both of our middle school buildings. Our football numbers are improving, which then obviously is leading to better numbers at the high schools as well. So it's huge. It's great to show what we can do here. We are also blessed to show off our brand new turf facility that we showed off last year. Give kids an outlet to what we have here and the opportunities that are here. And then, of course, showing any chance we get to show off our kids. And I mean, come on, we got, DJ and Jason going to Michigan next year up from Cheney High School. So we have a lot of kids going into college programs. And the biggest goal from us is just to be able to show that it can be done here. A lot of the narrative is you got to get out of here to make something happen. And we're just trying to make sure everybody sees that that's not the truth. That stuff can get done here. Randy won their league last year at the youth level. East Middle School football was arguably the best middle school team in the area. Cheney High School football was one of the best high school football teams in the area. East is working their way back up at the high school level, and Cheney Middle School competed all year as well. So just to show what we can do here and show our kids the chances that they have here and what we have. Our facilities are all brand new and beautiful. I'm sure you've seen baseball over at East. We're getting the turf down at both of the high schools now for football too. So the beauty of it is just to show, like you guys have been saying this whole time, show our youth what we could do here. And then 250 kids coming out is a good sign because, Pastor can tell me if I'm wrong too, but I don't think we expected 250. The goal is obviously to have a lot of kids, but I remember talking to Randy the days before. I'm like, are you really prepared for this? And he was like, man, you really think we're gonna get that many kids up there? And I said, yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot. I don't think, sometimes we discredit ourselves. What Randy's done has been unbelievable.
Right.
Again, we have, so this, and again, I don't want to discredit anybody else. I mean, we have a college showcase coming today. Casey Boger and those guys over at Cheney High School and Seth have set up a college showcase at the high school level up at Rain Stadium tonight. So we'll be up there tonight with all the local kids here again today, with all the colleges coming down to see our high school athletes. And then Ronnie Casey's got his camp going on next Saturday. So just outlets for our youth, something for our kids to continually do, show off our facility, show off what we can do. And like Pastor said, we have a lot of really good coaches in the area here, and hopefully we just keep plugging away. But, the biggest impact is just to continue those numbers and continue the success, the step ladder going from youth to middle to high, which it's been a huge blessing for us last year, from cheerleading to football to even basketball. So
my next question, a little bit more, I don't know, maybe both of you can kind of chime in on this one. So just from my perspective, being able to see from the high school level to middle school on down, it seems like you guys get kind of a one strike policy with other communities. Like if let's say, you look at a score, they're not going to schedule you anymore, or, a bus runs late, they're not going to schedule you anymore. Things like that. Talk to me about the frustrations behind some of that. And I think a lot of, I don't know where it comes from. I don't understand it. Maybe you guys can kind of help me out with this, and letting the people that, say, well, this school doesn't schedule this school because, like, we haven't, at least to my knowledge, we haven't got a whole lot of that in information. Can you guys help me out of why you think that perception is that you only get, one shake at the stick as opposed to multiple?
You want to jump first?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of it is just the narrative that is put out there about Youngstown as a whole. They portray us as violent and uneducated people. And so it's that constant narrative. And so what we're trying to do is to recreate a narrative that truly reflects who we are. And so when for instance, when crime happens, and crime happens in every city, but if it's close to you, a lot of times they will, in the news, they'll put it, a Youngstown resident, but they may live in Boardman, they may live in the outskirts of Youngstown, but they always put them in Youngstown. And so it's that narrative that you need to stay out of Youngstown. And at the same time, Youngstown, of course, as far as athletics, is a hotbed for athletes. And so these surrounding communities have no problem coming into Youngstown to get our athletes, but then they continue that negative narrative. It's like our kids are only good when they are benefiting somebody else. And so it is quite frustrating. Um, we have a good number of people that are graduating from East High School and Cheney High School. I think Makia of Merriweather, she played basketball at Teal. She graduated maybe 3 or 4 years ago, just graduated. And we have kids at Ohio State. We have scholars all over the place who are doing great things. But we got to keep pushing that negative narrative. They're violent. In fact, we had a little league. We had some things going on with our little league with the Bears, and the narrative that they push is if you go over to Rand Stadium, there are going to be fights. They're going to be, there's going to be violence, and you need to be prepared. And it's just the frustration is when people come and they say, "Wow, this was one of the most organized little league teams I have ever seen." We've heard people say that, and so it's a surprise, and it's frustrating because it's a surprise that we're organized, that we love our kids, that we're instilling good sportsmanship. Though all those things are a surprise to people because they have heard so often that you don't want to go to Youngstown. They're violent. There's no telling what might happen to you. But they see the exact opposite, and then when you have things like little league leadership, going behind closed doors and starting another league and not inviting your team into the league. And we won the championship. So we're highly competitive. When you have that type of thing, that just perpetuates this negative narrative. And then they start looking for reasons to exclude us. And in doing so, they exclude our kids. And so it perpetuates the negative narrative, even with their kids. They're like, well, why doesn't the little Bears play with us anymore? Well, they have to come up with a negative narrative to support their bad decisions. And it's really not the kids. These are adult issues that perpetuates the lie about Youngstown and the residents of Youngstown. And so that's extremely frustrating. And the fact that we have a high population of minorities, living in this day and time, we don't do our kids justice if we don't put them around people who look different than them, so that they all could see, hey, listen, we all bleed, we all get disappointed, we all have good people, and we have bad people in our communities. It is extremely frustrating. It's non-ending. When I go to the games, I'm typically dressed like this for a reason. Yep. I want the kids to see what a professional Black man looks like, because the ones that are on TV, the ones that may have made some mistakes in life, they portray and parade them on TV. And that's all the other communities think of when they see a Black man. And so I go to the games dressed up so that they can see something different than what they've seen on, the news that's highlighting an African-American that have made some poor decisions.
I love it.
And I'll chime in a little bit too, because we want to make sure we keep youth, and then obviously OHSAA sanctioned sports a little bit different too. I think a lot of the other local schools have seen what we're trying to do here. They've been very gracious to us. We haven't really had issues scheduling games like we've had in the past. One of the challenges, and I'll speak more towards, we just brought back our middle school sports, so I'll speak more towards that, is one of the challenges is with us not being in a conference, and especially at the middle school and the lower levels, these other schools' schedules are already filled. So we're kind of like we're calling and plugging in like, hey, can you fit us here? Can you fit us here? Can you fit us here? So we have good schedules. I mean, our fall schedules are full. We're still playing all the schools that we played in the past. I think, the years of the late buses and the years of that stuff at the OHSAA level sports, I think other school ADs and superintendents and principals have seen that, we are trying to do better. We're representing better because, we're not perfect, of course. We have shown up late to some events, but a lot of that happens. It happens everywhere. It's just
that's everywhere. Yep, you're right.
When it happens with us, it always seems to be a little bit bigger of an issue, but it does happen everywhere. Our bus garage has worked extremely hard. We were only late, and I know it's like not funny, but it's funny. But we were late, I think, one time this year to an event. So everybody's working pretty hard to make sure we get where we got to go on time. We're representing well. Our kids and our coaches are representing well. But other school districts at the OHSA levels have noticed that. I mean, we haven't had issues scheduling other schools. We haven't had issues scheduling outside teams. We've spent time, out Crestview, Columbiana. I mean, out with schools that we haven't played in the past as well. So it's frustrating when you're trying to fill a schedule, though, for sure. And then, it never helps when your sports are kind of unlevel. And I say that again respectfully to our kids, but when your softball, your volleyball, and some of your our baseball programs are not where our football and basketball is, it does make it tough for other conferences and things like that to want us to join in because again, you guys get it when your football game is a good game, but then your baseball game is a 30-0 blowout. Nobody's really learning anything in the 30-0 blowout. So but I think we're getting closer. Schedules, like I said, schedules aren't hard to fill right now, which has been a blessing. We're still independent. We're at the lower levels, of course. So I think we're getting closer. I think things have moved better. We haven't really had too many issues this last couple of years.
Yeah, I'll just throw this in at the Little League level because I saw it. Instead of saying, hey, those kids have been coached very well, they're extremely disciplined, they're skilled. We heard things like, I don't know what you're teaching your kids. That was a dirty tackle or whatever. It's always an excuse to why our kids might be better at that level. And so that is extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. And listen, I've coached at the youth levels before. I've seen it, and obviously we've broadcasted it. Sometimes when you win, there's nothing other than excuses for the other side, and it's a troublesome. That's not just in Youngstown. That's everywhere. You can go to Columbiana County. You can go to San Francisco, and it's going to be the same thing. Where if there's a team that's blowing out another team, it's poor sportsmanship. It's stuff like that. So
right.
Never good to see. But it's unfortunately, it's not just here. One thing that I want to kind of close this up with, guys, is what do you think is one misconception about the Youngstown City School District and the youth sports specifically that you constantly get and you're trying to shake this narrative of? And I know we've talked about a few of them already, but is there anything else that you think is a misconception or misleading about what you guys are trying to do and the way you're trying to do it?
Well, as a school board member, and before I got involved with the school board, I was a volunteer for 14 years in all of the schools and much more in all of the schools now than I was. But one of the biggest misconceptions that's really hard to shake is that you get a inferior education in Youngstown City School. That is one of the biggest ones to shake. We just had a graduation, our first graduation class with the Rand Early College. We graduated 71 students. I think 43 of those students has associate degrees. We've had media outlets say, well, the kids can't read and this and that. And so again, it's media pushing the negative narratives. Now, certainly we've got some challenges in our community. We've got challenges in our schools, but we've got A1 principals. We've got A1 students, and it's really a good district. It's just hard to convince people. It's unfortunate that people are shocked when they put their kids in the district and the kids are excelling academically and they're excelling athletically. And so we say, this is what's happened. This is what's happening in our district. But, the outside forces are really trying to push. Well, you can go there and play football, but hey, man, you're not going to be prepared for college. When we're preparing kids for college every day and they're going to college and they're graduating. So that is one of the biggest things, is that you're going to get a subpar education if you go to the Youngstown City School District. And that is just not the case.
Nick?
And I know, well, Pastor, I'll let Pastor kind of plug it too, but YRE sees another opportunity that our kids have inside of our school district, Youngstown Early College too. So I don't know if Pastor wants to speak on that. He can, but to kind of go on the question you had, one of the things that frustrates me is like when we're at games, and I know nobody means any harm by it, but you'll get the visiting team, or you'll get somebody come up and they're kind of like, oh, the game was pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it. But it's like, what did you think? Did you think we weren't going to have, the scoreboard turned on? Did you think we weren't going to have, referees at the game? So it's almost just like, we're working really hard to change. And again, nobody's perfect. I know there's been history and I know there's been a past and everything else, but like trying to just change that narrative of what we do here is not what they do at other schools and what they do at other facilities and what they do at other athletic events is, the biggest thing that we're just trying to change. And I think Randy and Ronnie Casey are doing a great job starting to change that culture at the lower level. And like I said, we're going to continue just to change it from top to bottom. I mean, Cheney High School has been extremely successful. East High School's not far behind. I know Chevis is doing the best he can over there. Tanish has been great too. So, we're trying our best everywhere. And that's kind of the biggest frustration though, is when people, expect what they think they're going to get when they come. And then when it doesn't happen, it's almost like, whoa, that, there wasn't a fight at the game or something didn't happen at the game or there were officials. So that's the biggest thing. We're just trying to kind of mold and change. And like I said, I think we're getting better and better every year. There's obviously things we got to continue to improve on. We make mistakes. Trust me, we're nowhere near perfect. Our coaches are nowhere near perfect. So the goal is just, again, to continue just to change that narrative the best we can, provide a fun, safe atmosphere for our kids and for the visiting teams coming in and parents and families, and just kind of do the best we can. So we're trying. Everybody's trying. Everybody in the piece is trying. Our kids are trying as well. Our kids are working on behaviors, and we do a lot more than just practice football and basketball and baseball. I mean, again, Pastor can touch on it a lot deeper. We spend almost 1 or 2 days a week on character building and just different avenues and how to respect different things differently. So like I said, we're just trying to change, that narrative the best we can.
Yeah, and athletics is just a platform for us to teach the deeper principles of life. Because at some point, I mean, I tell the guys at YSU, I played in college, and of course, I wanted to go to the NFL, and a million other kids that went to college and had a good amount of ability felt the same way. But at some point, you've got to hang those shoes up. You've got to return your helmet, and somebody else is going to be wearing your helmet, and you're going to graduate and move on. And in 10, 15, 20 years, they won't even remember your name for the most part. And so, but the things that you gain through athletics, that drive, doing things when nobody's watching, the integrity, that work ethic, that grind, that spirit of dominance that says, listen, you know what, you're not going to beat me again. I'm going to find a way to win. I'm going to be competitive in whatever area I'm in. And so those are the things that we're trying to teach kids, because listen, they're looking at the same messages that the media is putting out, and we thank God for mediums like this where we can put out some positive, but they see the negative also. And if they don't hear or are not put in contact with people who are saying that you can be this, you don't have to be this. I realize that, and we're teaching a generation of kids how to be cycle breakers. Mm-hmm. I know that your dad may not have been here or whatever, or your mom, whatever. And so it is what it is, but here's what you can do to create a new cycle for your family. And incredible. So you can be what your parents may not have been for you.
I love it. I'm pumped up now. And I love this. I love the story. I love the cycle breaker type of mentality that you guys have down there with coaches and student athletes and teachers and administrators like you guys. I want to tell you, you're on the right track. There's not a whole lot of people that are telling you that you're doing a great job, and you are appreciated for what you do. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for the time you put in every day for the future of sports in Youngstown and the future of our kids in Youngstown, because listen, I get it. when Kelly Pavlik wins a world title, everybody's from Youngstown. But whenever there's a lead story in the 11 o'clock news, it's hard to associate with that. So, guys, God bless you. As someone from East Palestine, I get the negative narrative. So, God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for the time today, and I hope to talk to you real soon when all the things are successful.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, DJ.